Most people believe that building wealth requires more discipline, more income, or more luck. This is completely wrong. What almost nobody understands is that your brain is not designed to build wealth. It is designed to survive the next 24 hours. And that single fact explains nearly every financial decision you have ever regretted. This is not a metaphor. It is neurobiology. For most of human history, resources were scarce and unpredictable. The brain that survived was the brain that grabbed the reward in front of it right now, because tomorrow was never guaranteed. Saving for a future that might not arrive was not just unnecessary, it was a liability. Eating the food today kept you alive. Storing it for later meant someone else might take it, or you might not live long enough to use it. That survival software is still running inside you today. When you have money in your account, your brain does not see an opportunity to invest. It sees a resource that should be used now, before it disappears, before someone else takes it, before the uncertain future erases the chance to enjoy it. This is why saving feels like loss, and spending feels like relief. Your brain is not broken. It is simply running prehistoric code in a modern financial system. This is the first thing you need to understand if you want to actually build wealth instead of just thinking about it. You are not failing because you lack willpower. You are failing because you are fighting millions of years of evolutionary programming using nothing but motivation. And motivation, as anyone who has tried to stick to a budget already knows, does not survive contact with a bad day. So if willpower is not the answer, what is? The answer is not trying harder. It is understanding the mechanism well enough to work with it instead of against it. In the next few minutes, we are going to break down exactly how your brain sabotages wealth, and more importantly, exactly how to trick it into building wealth almost automatically. The first concept you need to understand is what neuroscientists call temporal discounting. Your brain values a reward today far more than the same reward in the future, even when the math clearly favors waiting. This is why $100 right now feels more real, more urgent, more deserved than $150 a year from now, even though the second option is mathematically superior. This bias is not a personality flaw. It is a default setting, and it explains why people who genuinely understand compound interest still struggle to save consistently. Knowing the math has almost nothing to do with feeling the pull. Here is the trick that works around this. You cannot outlogic temporal discounting. You can only make the future reward feel as immediate as the present one. This is done through a method called future self-visualization, and it has measurable effects on financial behavior. In one widely cited study, researchers showed participants age-progressed images of themselves before asking about retirement savings. Participants who saw their future self saved significantly more than those who did not. Nothing about their income changed, only their emotional connection to a version of themselves that previously felt like a stranger. You can apply this without any technology at all. Before any financial decision, take 10 seconds to picture the specific version of yourself. This decision is either helping or hurting. Not a vague future, a specific one. The you at your future age, in your future home, dealing with the consequences of what you decide right now. This single habit rewires the emotional weight of financial decisions almost immediately. The second mechanism working against you is what behavioral economists call the pain of paying. Every time you spend money, your brain registers a small hit of discomfort, similar to physical pain. This is measurable using brain imaging. The insula, a region associated with disgust and pain, activates when people are asked to part with money. But here's the critical detail. The intensity of that pain depends entirely on how visible the transaction feels. Paying with physical cash creates the most pain. You feel the loss directly. Paying with a card creates less pain because the transaction is abstracted. Paying with a stored balance or a subscription creates almost no pain at all because the money was already removed from your awareness before the spending happened. This is precisely why subscriptions, autopay, and saved card details are so profitable for companies and so dangerous for your wealth. They are engineered specifically to bypass the pain of paying. The trick here works in reverse. If invisible spending increases overspending, invisible saving increases overcompliance with saving. This is the entire logic behind automating your investments and savings before you ever see the money. When the transfer happens before your awareness registers the funds as yours, there is no pain of paying to overcome, because you never consciously possessed the money in the first place. This single mechanical change, automating wealth building before spending has the chance to occur, is responsible for more long-term financial success than almost any other single decision a person can make. Not because the person became more disciplined, because they removed the moment where discipline was required at all. Think about how much of your financial life currently depends on a moment of willpower that may or may not show up. Every system you build that removes one of those moments is a permanent reduction in how often you need to rely on a resource as unreliable as motivation. The third mechanism is identity, and this is the deepest layer of all. James Clear has explained this concept clearly in the context of habits, but it applies with even more force to money. Every financial decision you make is unconsciously filtered through the question, what does someone like me do? If your internal identity is someone who struggles with money, your brain will find evidence to support that story regardless of your actual behavior. Save successfully 1 month, and the brain dismisses it as luck. Overspend 1 month, and the brain says, of course, this is who I am. Identity does not change through willpower or through a single decision. It changes through repeated evidence, accumulated over time, until the new identity becomes the default rather than the exception. This means the goal is never simply to save money. The goal is to take the smallest possible action that proves a new identity, repeated consistently enough that the identity becomes unquestionable. Transferring $5 to an investment account is not meaningful because of the $5. It is meaningful because it is evidence. Declining one unnecessary purchase is not meaningful because of the amount saved. It is meaningful because it is a vote for a different story about who you are. Over months, these small votes compound into something far more powerful than any single financial decision. They compound into a person who no longer experiences saving as a sacrifice, because saving has become consistent with their identity rather than a fight against it. This is the actual mechanism behind every person who appears to build wealth easily. They did not develop more willpower than everyone else. They restructured their environment so the right decision required no willpower at all. They made the future feel emotionally present instead of abstract. They removed the pain of paying from the decisions that mattered and reintroduced friction only where overspending used to live unchecked. And they accumulated small pieces of evidence until a new financial identity became automatic rather than aspirational. None of this requires more income. None of this requires more discipline. It requires understanding exactly how your brain is wired and then designing your financial life around that wiring instead of fighting it every single day. So here is what I want you to do after this video ends. Pick one mechanism, just one. Automate one small transfer before you ever see the money. Visualize your future self before your next financial decision. Or simply track one purchase you decline as a vote for who you are becoming. You do not need to fix everything today. You only need to prove, in one small way, that the story has already started to change. Because the version of you with money was never going to arrive through more effort. It was always going to arrive the moment your brain stopped working against itself and started working for the person you are quietly becoming. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe right now. Because this is exactly the kind of psychology we break down here every single week.